Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel in the first place. Today we have Saw You in a Dream, chapters 10 through 12, by Fiction Please on AO3. There are two videos before this. They will be linked in the description, so go check them out. I suggest watching them before this one, otherwise this one won't make sense. That's it, so let's go ahead and get into it. 10 minutes later, you heard the water turn off. Katsuki walked out, hands running through his damp, yet still spiky hair. He made eye contact with you and immediately looked away. You stood up, the chair legs scraping against the floor. Suddenly, adding the new logs to the fire took all your focus. You can take the bed. He still didn't want to meet your eyes, instead looking at the rising flames. He wasn't one to beat around the bush, so you shouldn't have been surprised. Still, he was the one with a bandaged up body. I'm good. You need more rest than I do. He turned around and sat across from him at the table. He shook his head, finally looking up at you. What kind of douche makes a girl sleep on the floor? He looked at you in offense. Real or fake, you couldn't fully tell. The kind of douchebag who just got attacked by a weird animal. You gave him a pointed look. You call that attacked? It was barely a scratch. Sitting up straighter, he moved as if shaking off any lingering pain. He said that, but you noticed how the left side of his body was more tense than the right. It wasn't hard to see through his bravado. Okay, but either way, I'm not taking the bed. You'll make me feel guilty for it. You crossed your arms, while he just rolled his eyes. Listen, Katsuki, I do not want to feel guilty. He stayed quiet for a moment, then smirked. Fine, you take the floor. He's compromising. He's letting you win the argument. You didn't push it through and nodded. He yawned, stretching his arms over his head. You tried not to pay attention to the shape of his biceps, or the fact that his hands looked extra nice to hold, or how soft that spot on his neck seemed. He caught you staring and laughed. There it was again. You could full-heartedly say that his laugh was your favorite song, even after 1,000 plays, just one more time. It flowed through your body and brought an automatic pure smile to your face. You never know it, but that's why he laughed so much and so easily. None of the other nerds at home had even ever heard his laugh more than once. Why would he? It's not as if their faces light up at the sound. It's not like they have the same small dimple when they smile. Not like they have the same pillowy lips that you do. Well, it's been a long day. Good night. He got up and laid in bed, pulling the sheet over. You sighed and laid at the edge of the bed. The floor was cold, but not too hard. Hopefully, he wouldn't wake up with much soreness. Oh, can you pass me a pillow? He responded by throwing it at your face. He had good aim. You harumphed and fluffed it under you. Right as your breathing was slowing and your body was relaxing, you heard him say one last thing. By the way, I saw a tarantula under the bed while you were in the shower. Tried to kill it, but lost it. Make sure you look out. You sat up immediately, scooting away from the edge of the bed. There was no way you could sleep now, and he knew it. Huffing, you stood up and padded to the edge of the bed. Without saying anything, you slid under the sheet on the empty side. He stirred and threw his arm on top of you. You both froze and he retracted it. Didn't hear you. Then his teasing tone flipped on. The floor's not good enough for you? Don't. You attempted at sounding extra serious, but the upturn of your lips came through. He shrugged and went quiet again. It didn't take long for your body to start falling asleep. The edges of tiredness pulling you deeper and deeper. Your hair smells pretty. His words were so soft, you couldn't even be sure if he said them at all, but it was a nice thing to slip off to. Why did this keep happening? You don't remember being so close last night? 2 heartbeats. You woke up to 2 heartbeats. Your own and the one under you. His chest was smoother than you had assumed, and your head fit perfectly on it, like a puzzle piece. One of his arms was draped lazily over you, while the other propped his head up. You moved out of his grip without waking him as well, light spilling in from the early morning sun outside, and the sound of crackling wood is what greeted you this morning. He hummed in his sleep and turned, fully taking up the mattress. You knew, even if he didn't want to admit, he needed the sleep, so you let him stay in. Looking through the cabinets, you flipped each one open. You saw there was already a coffee maker, so now only to find the coffee. There, the bag filled with strong grounds. You set everything all up and waited happily as it poured. The sound woke up Katsuki behind you, and he silently watched as you softly bounced with anticipation. You pulled out 2 mugs. One was sage green, and the other charcoal gray. You looked in the cabinets again, and sure enough, there was milk and cream. Pulling them both out in preparation, you poured the steaming liquid in both mugs. I take mine black. You jumped, hand to your chest. Katsuki grinned and reached over to grab his drink. You shook your head, pouring the right amount of sweetener in yours. The bitterness of black coffee never sat well with your taste buds. Good morning. You walked to the door and into the cool morning air. He set it back and followed. The sound of chirping birds and golden sunlight is what awaited you two. There were 2 folding chairs to the right of the door, and you took a seat. Taking a deep breath, you couldn't help but appreciate the peaceful ambiance of the morning. So different from the hecticness of last night. Katsuki took the seat next to you and didn't waste time enjoying his coffee. You realized how you both looked like an old couple, sitting in the early daylight and drinking coffee. Honestly, this would be a perfect moment to ask him what was up, why you two were still stuck in this place. The soft crunch of leaves pulled you out of the thought. Coming out of the tree line, the cat from yesterday. Its steps were unusually elegant. Katsuki leaned down and started clicking his tongue, trying to convince the cat to get closer. It seemed to remember him from yesterday, allowing pets and scratches. You watched from the side, seeing Katsuki's sweet smile and his gentleness with the animal, the tufts of fur at the edge of his cloak, fluttering in place with the breeze, his fingers mindlessly tapping on the mug. You looked away before he could catch you staring. There was a feeling in your chest that didn't want to leave this moment, wanting to freeze it. It was torture knowing how far he really lived, and how slim the chance was for you two to meet. Even then, who knows if you'd remember him. For some, it was a simple catching of the eyes, a gaze locked, and memories returned. For others, it took months of a relationship for the dreams to connect to their real life. You'd even heard of some people who had a code word that would confirm they were soulmates. In turn, everything would rush in. Like yesterday, time moved in sporadic ways. It seemed to slow, the sun barely moving up the sky, but then you'd blink and it was directly above you. Noon was a lot warmer than dusk. After Katsuki made you two breakfast, fluffy blueberry pancakes with sugary syrup, he came up with an idea. Let's go explore some more out there, understand our surroundings better. It was more of an action plan than an idea, really. Alright, but we aren't splitting up this time. You can make decisions too. He held your eyes for a second too long and nodded, thinking of earlier when he woke up. The wound from last night's adventure was gone. Still, that doesn't mean it didn't scare the crap out of you. And the pain he felt was more than real. No need to repeat any of that. So you both set out into the trees. Their time's a charm. Your steps matched, one after another. Neither of you strayed too far from the other. It seemed as though the forest just repeated upon itself. Thick tree trunks and roots that peek up from the ground. Small berry bushes and burrows show themselves, the only difference in scenery. The small cat follows close behind, zigzagging in and out of the path. Somehow, it got to the front of you. It sat still. You tried walking around it, but it just followed your moves. Katsuki even tried moving it himself, but it started hissing. When you both stopped moving, it went walking again in a different direction. Thinking it wanted you to follow along, you did. It continued to be the same terrain for a good couple of minutes, until trees no longer filled the path ahead. Instead, they lined it, on either side, remnants of the full forest. It gives way to a clearing, an outcropping. A glare hit your face. You lifted your face to shield it. The sun was gleaming on what must be water. It ripples and moves, inviting and enticing in the heat. You walked to the edge of the grass line, fingers switching in the water. It was cool, not too cold though. You turned to see Katsuki unclasping his cloak. It fell to the ground in a heap, creating a dense fabric puddle. How he managed to wear it this long, you didn't know. Then his hands moved down to his trousers buckle. "Hey, what are you doing over there?" Your eyebrow was quirked, weirded out and confused. He rolled his eyes, continuing the task. "It's stupid hot out. I'm jumping in." He got them undone, now only in a pair of light shorts. "You are not doing that." He stopped mid-walk, looking you dead in the eyes. "No, watch then." He ran forward, jumping with his legs tucked in, successfully creating the biggest cannonball splash you'd ever seen. You shook your head, watching as the water stilled again, waiting for him to pop up again. Seconds passed, and still there was no sign of him, not even bubbles at the surface. Your heart began to beat faster, pump harder in fear. What if something really bad happened here? Would you just wake up, or you didn't want to find out? Cursing under your breath, you started throwing off your heavy doeskin pants and patched up top. Left only in your loose underclothes, you took a deep breath and jumped in. Opening your eyes under the water didn't hurt as much as it usually did. The world from under there was curvier. See objects swaying in your vision. Not seeing him, you went to the surface, took a big gulp of oxygen, and dove back under. Before you could go as deep as before, an arm snaked its way around your abdomen. It hauled you back up as you twisted and turned in its grip. "Hey, calm down, what's wrong?" His voice sent you reeling. "Katsuki, oh my god!" You flip around, grabbing his face, looking for any blood or injuries, or anything worse. As you frantically scanned him, he slowly placed his hands over yours. "Are you okay?" He looked concerned, the most scared you'd ever seen him. "Am I okay?" You chuckle nervously. "You're the one who didn't come back up. I thought you drowned or something." Anger started rushing in, now that you knew he was fine. You smacked his shoulder for the emotional turmoil he put you through. He just laughed. "I can hold my breath for a while." His face turned sly. "Happy to know you care so much." You took a shaky breath, still getting over the panic. "Yeah, it's just so hot that I didn't want you to die, huh?" Pushing away in the water, laughter began bubbling in your stomach. The fact that he scared you to death was in such contrast to how the relaxing water made you feel. It glides through your hands and limbs, making you feel weightless and refreshed, remembering all the times your dad told you what to do if you got taken by the tide. You balanced onto your back, floating with your face towards the sky. You closed your eyes. You could feel your hair moving behind and above you, making sure it didn't get in the way. Laying there, the sun on your skin, taking in easy breaths. You couldn't imagine a better place to be. Where'd you learn to float like that? You peeked one eye open. He was watching from close by, hands paddling to stay above. You moved back into a vertical position. Everyone knows how to. I'm pretty sure it's like one of the first things babies learn. He didn't respond, eyes avoiding yours. "Katsuki, do you know how to float on your back?" His face turned beet red, arms crossing defensively. It sent tiny waves towards you. Of course I know. What idiot doesn't? He was a horrible liar. You motioned him over, used to combating his arrogance. Yeah, okay, look. Start by kicking your legs up towards the surface. He scanned your face, looking for signs that you were mocking him. He wouldn't find one. Huffing, he swam closer, legs doing what you said. Good, now I'm gonna help hold you up for now until you can do it on your own. He frowned, pushing your hands away. I can. His words were cut off, mouth filling with water. You pursed your lips, watching him jump up, coughing. Yep, wanna try that again? He glared at you, but nodded. Swimming back over, he let you cradle his head up, your other hand lightly pressed against his back. The fact that he felt so toned on your palms was not relevant, but you noted it either way. You better not let go. He kept his eyes on you. I won't. Now spread your arms out. You nudged one, and he moved the other. Nice. Keep your breath short. It'll help you stay afloat. You followed your instructions, and you slowly let him go. He stayed deathly still, chest rising and falling with caution. He grinned, eyes moving to the sky. Ha! I knew I could do it. Look, I'm basically a pro. You laughed, never having seen him so excited about something so wholesome. You both swam for a while more, doing splash games and seeing who could hold their breath the longest. He was the winner of that one. Even playing Marco Polo, he surprised you by lifting you out of the water and throwing you back in. The feeling of his hands on your skin was an unfamiliar but welcome feeling. Now you both sat on the grassy shore. You wrung out your hair and he shook his. Bringing up your arms to block all the droplets, you scolded him. He just repeated it again. The air was a lot colder than before. You started shivering, thinking about putting on your dirty clothes again. Before you could, though, a soft, warm cloth was thrown on your shoulders. It was Katsuki's cloak. It smelled like fresh pine and sage with the undercurrent of sweat. Stop shaking. He bit into an apple, offering another to you. Took them off a tree. You took it, breaking the skin with your teeth. It was perfectly crunchy, sweet juice hitting your tongue. He sat down next to you, arms slung around his knees. You watched the bright sunlight turn into a hue of light red and oranges. Not noticing he was staring, you turned and asked a question with your eyes. He shook his head once, looking at the ground. His apple stayed loosely gripped in his hand. We need to talk. He said it sadly, knowing exactly what would happen next. You stopped eating, setting the apple core beside you. We do? Your eyebrows creased, teeth biting your lips anxiously. Of course you had been waiting for this, but still, it felt like the big plot climax in a novel, one where the rest of the story is altered, changed for the better or worse. He sighed, head swinging to look at you directly on. Yeah, look, I'm only saying this once, so listen up. Pausing, he looked over to affirm that you were listening. You nodded for him to go on. Life right now kind of sucks. I know that it's a lame, stupid excuse, and obviously I wouldn't have said anything unless I had to, and clearly I have to. He glanced at the swaying willow trees around you, eyes traveling down the unusually twisted roots. He talked and counted the points on his fingers. I'm in this internship that I thought would be a really good experience, but instead it feels like I'm being pushed into a mold that I can't fit into. Then the old hag never shuts up about how she's done everything for me to get into the best hero school, so I better not screw up. The pressure is great. He watched for your reaction, deciding that he should keep talking. Not to mention this dumb kid I know is suddenly a really powerful guy. I should have known he was tricking me all this time. He let me put my guard down. I can't make that mistake again. It's just that I will be the #1 hero, but I didn't realize how much of an emotional job it would be." He took a deep breath after his long spiel, seeming to finally realize what he was missing. You took a deep breath too, but for an entirely different reason. He just needed a break. That you could understand. "Katsuki, that's not a lame or stupid excuse. I mean, it sounds like you have a lot on your plate, so the fact that you got stuck here is logically normal. But also, I know how much of yourself you put into things. You give it your all, leaving no room for error. That can take a toll on a person." He was staring at the ground, still not able to grasp how you could explain it so well. "But," you continued, "even if you can't feel this way about yourself, at least not truly, I want you to know that I'm proud of you, and I appreciate you, with errors and without." Now he was confused why it was bringing him so much comfort to hear you say that. He hated that he felt like crying. If he could kill the lump in his throat, he would. So instead of saying thanks and moving on like a normal person, he tisked at you. "You've known me for about, what, a week? You have no idea who I am." That stung. Bad. Not just for you. He cringed, too proud to take his words back, but still regretting them. You nodded, shoving his words to the back of your mind, turning your anger at him into confidence. "Are you kidding me? Fine. Maybe I don't know who you are, whatever that means. I may not know what shows you like to watch or what stupid things you fill your time with, but I do know that you take your coffee black." Before he could interrupt, you kept rambling on. Your words got more and more intense with each breath. "I know that you blast things first and think of pain second. I know that you make a disgustingly delicious omelet." He stopped you. "Okay, now that sentence makes no sense." You waved him off and kept going. "I know that you came to help me, even when you could have left me out there alone. I know that you never dry your hair properly when getting out of the shower, and I know that as much as you like to call your mom an old hag, you actually think highly of her, and the thought of disappointing her scares the crap out of you." You leaned back, challenging him with your eyes. "I could keep going if you need me to." He coughed. "I think you got it all." You huffed, smiling and satisfied. Standing up, you offered him a hand. "Good, let's head back before dark." His mind caught up to what you did. You got him to sit down and listen. Really listen. There was no hesitation when he took your hand, and after this night, there never was. The walk back to the cabin was a lot less eventful, the small candle from inside leading you two back. You hopped in the bath first, washing off all the river water and sweat from the day. When you came out, the smell from the kitchen hit your nose. Katsuki, mixing a pot of mysterious ingredients, looked up. He set the pot cover on top and walked towards the bathroom, pointing a single finger at you. "Don't eat without me." His words ended with the click of a closed door. You took a deep breath, lungs filling with warm air as the sun went down. The heat from the day seemed to leave with it. It tried its best to sneak through the cracks in the window and under the door. You stood by the fire, warming your hands. The soft pitter-patter of rain on the roof had your eyes peeking outside. There was a scratch at the door, and this time you weren't as scared to look behind it. Green eyes in an orange fur coat met your eyes. Your friend the cat decided to walk in. It paid little attention to you, happy to be out of the rain. It walked to the edge of the fire, tongue mindlessly cleaning its fur. "I thought it was raining." Katsuki's voice broke the silence before. "Damn, all that swimming really made me hungry." You agreed silently, taking a seat at the table. You started picking your food while he stared, taking the chair across. "Guess this is it, huh?" You kept your eyes away from his. It clicked for him why you were acting different. "Yeah, guess it'll be back to our regularly scheduled cliff nights." You sat up straighter. "You're right. But," he waited for you to look up. I guess being stuck with you wasn't as bad as I would have expected. Don't look so in pain, you laughed. But I agree. This was a nice break from everything happening up there. You waved your fork towards the ceiling. A nice break, he repeated, liking how it sounded. He shoved a spoonful in his mouth. You could worry about tomorrow. For now, this soup that Katsuki made is all you can think about. Alright, so that's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed. There will be 20 chapters total. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, whatever, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye!